transition to a new director. She touted her successes expanding the city's health department staff by over a third and establishing the city's Community Outreach and Communications Bureau, which engaged with more than 10,000 residents last year. Dr. Davis says she will not be answering questions at this time. She was first appointed to the position in 2021. Looks like markets are rebounding today. The Dow from Stifel is now down just 72 points at 40,020. The S&P 500 up 23 points at 5,508. Let's get a check of the forecast now. It's sponsored by Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm.
Our latest weather maker is not very strong, but we'll see some showers around this afternoon. Any thunderstorms that pop up would be non-severe. And this is not a situation that will be raining all the time. 78 for the high, but it's around. Tonight, any showers fade quickly this evening, mainly a dry overnight, 55. Last weekend of April looks pretty good. Saturday, partly sunny. It's nice. It's cooler, 69 degrees, partly cloudy Saturday night, 49, and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny, 74. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
Partly sunny skies, 72 degrees, both in Florissant and St. Peter, 74 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Special savings opportunities and federal tax credits are available, so call 314-756-9444 or visit online at scottleeheating.com.
This is the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The pitch, a broken back ground ball to Albies. He throws out Newkmar. This ballgame has come to an end. The Braves got 3 in the 8th, and the last at bat for the Cardinals' opponents on the road has not been kind at all.
Well, the bad news is it was a tough road trip for the Cardinals. The good news is they're going to be at home tonight as they open up a series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome into the Gashouse Gang. My name is Matt Pauley. Mike Claiborne is here as well. The voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, he is going to join us coming up later on in the show. We'll talk mostly Cardinals, but we'll get a little Blues in there as well after they had quite the performance last night as they were able to win a game in their series against Winnipeg for the first time. Claibs, always good to see you. I've got countdown to opening day vibes going on right now.
It does seem like that, right? I mean, we're connecting again, and obviously we have more things to talk about than we did at the early part of the year, but it's always good to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always enjoy being with you. Just for folks who are listening or watching, we certainly welcome in your comments. You can text into the program at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. Feel free to tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. And if you are listening or watching, I should say, on any of our various social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, just leave a comment. Those come right to us, and we can address those as we go along.
And I'll let you address
today.
I'll let you address all the draft information from the WNBA draft.
Oh, the WNBA draft. Okay.
Yeah. Not the other one that took place last night. I'll let you handle those questions.
Okay. I will. I'll be on top of that.
You're a versatile guy. Come on. You can make it happen.
I broadcast women's basketball for all. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know. I know Paige. Is it Buchers, the Yukon girl?
Beckers. Yeah.
Beckers. Yeah. Beyond that, I don't think I can name a single person who got drafted this year.
Well, you have work to do.
Caitlin Clark last year. We can go with that. And
okay.
Yeah. So, all right, Claims.
We're off to a roaring start here.
This was a tough road trip for the Cardinals. They win just one. They get swept by the Mets. They had some winnable games. Still really early on in the season. That doesn't mean that the things that happen don't matter. When you have a tough week like that, how do you go about assessing it?
Well, I look at it this way. You have to ask yourself the question, is this part of the process? We knew going into the season that this was a team that was trying to evaluate who they are and what direction they need to go for the future. And when you go through evaluation, you're going to have some surprises. You're going to have some things you felt good about, and then you're going to have some things that concern you. And that's going to happen more than just what we saw the month of April. And that's a process. So the question is, do you trust the process? Do you try and adjust in mid-flight? Or do you ride the storm out and just say, this is what we thought we were going to be part of, and we just have to see this whole thing through? And I think that's a real challenge, because as a team, as an organization, and in fan expectations, you want to compete every night. You want to have a chance to win. You don't give away games just to prove a point about who can play and who can't. And we're at that point now where I'm sure there are people like, well, we're not winning. No, we're not. But I think the one thing that really we should maintain is the fact that, they're in virtually every game. It would be different if they were just getting clobbered every night and it's the same old thing. But if you look at the losses, was there maybe 2 losses that you said, okay, well, this wasn't our night? And all the other ones, you felt like you had a chance to win.
Yeah. And I think that's what adds to the frustration of this whole thing, that it feels like there's so many winnable games. I'm struggling with a few things, Claibs, and I will come to you, and I'll see if you can help me out with that.
Lay down on the couch, Matt. Go ahead, lay down. Let me see if I can help you through this.
All right. So first off, because so much talk during the season or the off season about runway and giving guys opportunities and all that. I'm all in. I'm all in on that. Let's see what the organization has and find out moving forward who you can really count on. But like specifically when it comes to the bullpen, it hasn't been about giving guys runway. It's been guys like Phil Maton, who pitched in 13 of the first 23 games, a guy who's a veteran, other individuals who have certainly been in those high leverage spots before. So I'm having a hard time kind of navigating between the idea that there's runway going on and you're giving young guys opportunities, where the way the game is being managed and choices that are being made sometimes are focusing on the guys who have more of a track record.
Well, and I think that comes with the fact that you're in virtually all those games that you're talking about. And you feel like maybe we can steal a win here and find another opportunity for someone to show us what they have. And I look at this past week and you say, Matt Swanson is a young man who you brought up, and you say, well, when are you going to pitch him? There were some times where you say, when are you going to pitch him? But I didn't know if there was one leverage moment this week where you said, I'm going to throw a guy in his first game ever in the big leagues. And we saw the young man from Atlanta who made a debut this week, but he was in a game where they were down by 3-4 runs at that point. And he gave up a few more, but he got his feet wet and they sent him back out. I don't know if there's been a situation this week where a guy like Swanson you could put him in a game, because if you did, it was going to normally be a high leverage situation. And that doesn't mean he's not prepared for it, but you also want to try and win a ball game. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I think a lot of people are wrestling with now, giving these guys a chance to have the opportunity to succeed, or in some cases fail.
You've talked about it a ton, Claibs, that you always want to see the team add more relief pitching, that you can never have enough of it. I bet you mentioned that 90% of the shows that we do during the off season. And I think it's rather remarkable that here we are talking on April 25th, and relief pitching depth is already an issue for this team. Yeah.
Well, I've said this before. A good team is going to need 19 to 20 pitchers at least during the course of the year. And that means you're going to have to find people in the minor leagues. You're going to sign someone. You may trade for someone during the course of the season. But it's not going to be the same guy that you see on your opening day roster that's going to be with you. And you look at the calendar now, we've already had some changes, and you're going to see more changes. The question is, where are you going to get these players from? I think you and I talked about maybe seeing Cooper Jerpy this year, perhaps a Tink Hence later in the year. And what we saw from Quinn Matthews in spring training, Arizona fall, you thought he was going to be part of this. Well, those three are hurt. Mm-hmm. So now you go to plan B, and I don't know who that next level of pitchers are. Is it Swanson? I mean, he's here on the roster, so you would think that they feel like he has a future. And then you say to yourself, who's next? Now, I know some would say McGreevy, but McGreevy you groomed to be a starter. You look at some other guys that we thought might be ready, and we haven't seen them yet. But then after that, Matt, it'd be hard-pressed for you to come up with 4 other people that we saw in spring training that might be big league ready at this point.
And that was the point that Ollie was making the other day. And there was a lot made of his comment when he said, look, there's just not a lot that's below us that's going to come out. And, this is our group. This is the group. And don't expect much to come up from AAA to help out. That doesn't mean that there can't be moves. That doesn't mean that Gordon Graceffo can't get another opportunity, a Riley O'Brien, or Rodri Munoz, like all these guys that we've seen or we know that we will see. But do you take anything away? A lot was made of that comment by Ollie.
No,
Did you take much away from it?
I really didn't, because I think Ollie speaks for about 80% of the managers in baseball who are saying the same thing. They don't, a lot of organizations just don't have guys ready. And when you look at the Cardinals over the years and where they drafted toward the back end of the draft, those pitchers or those players need more time to develop. And, if they hit a bump in the road, maybe they get set back, whether it's an injury or maybe they find out that, they were men amongst boys in whatever level they were pitching in before they were drafted. There's a lot of things that go into that. And when you look at what Ollie's saying, again, I bet you can poll a bunch of managers that would say we don't have as much in the bullpen or in the minors as we like to have. And I think when you go back to the other element that I mentioned earlier, when you have Jerpy, Hentz, Matthews all down as we speak, that sets everything back a little bit. And I'm not saying that those guys would have been on the roster this month, but they would have been closer to helping this ball club than maybe some other guys that you have to deal with now.
And you extend, if you thought that Quinn Matthews might be starting games for the Cardinals, say in May or June, well, now all of a sudden, depending on when he comes off the injury list, it might be July or August or September. Jerpy is now pushed back an entire year. The Tink Hentz thing, it felt like they were kind of going back to the drawing board with a little bit with him this year. Now he's back being injured as well. So it isn't just about you're not going to see these guys in the month of April or May. It's when are you going to see these guys?
Oh, you're going to see them at all. Yeah, you're right. And we're talking about, when you start talking about shoulder, Tommy John, lat, those are long-term situations. It's not a tweak. I mean, somebody's going to, they're going to be doing rehab and basically starting over again. And as we know in today's pitcher and how they're handled, they take baby steps in order to be ready. And it's one of those situations now where do you even write their name down in ink anymore as far as them being able to help your ball club this year? And I don't think you can.
That's Mike Claiborne. I'm Matt Pauley. It's the Gashouse Gang presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Again, if you've got comments, feel free to text them in at 314-436-7900. Do not ask for my draft analysis on any draft that has taken place recently. You can also leave a comment on our various social media channels.
Well, how about those Blues? You want to talk some Blues?
We'll get to the Blues a little bit later on, and
Okay.
we'll talk Blues
All right.
after we talk with the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney. He's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. A lot more coming up on this edition of the Gashouse Gang, right here on KMOX.
This month, Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight is testicular cancer. Dr. Woodson Smelser.
Testis cancer is a disease primarily of men 18 to 45. And so for men in that age segment, we recommend doing just a monthly testicular self-exam. And you can do this in the shower and just basically feel for any abnormal lumps or bumps on the surface of the testicle. And then, of course, if you find something like that, that's when you need to contact your doctor and get further workup.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. Dreaming of a brand new home but don't want to wait? You are in luck. McKelvey has dozens of brand new move-in ready homes with tremendous savings. And take advantage of our special 30-year fixed financing from the Fives. We have a wide variety of luxury custom homes in prime locations, all with McKelvey's legendary quality and personal service. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should GLP-1 weight loss medication like Wegovy and Zepbound cost thousands of dollars? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com helps provide insurance access to the leading GLP-1 medications. Visit TryLifeMD.com and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0. Listen to Bridget's story after losing 55 pounds and using her insurance for coverage.
LifeMD helped me get covered with my insurance. Finding out that it was covered was huge. I've lost 55 pounds. I am so much healthier now that I've lost the weight. I would never be able to do it without them.
Get started today and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0 at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is coming back to St. Louis on May 7th. Join us at Energizer Park for the round of 32 as St. Louis City SC hosts Union Omaha and plays for the historic trophy. Get tickets now at stlcitysc.com/Open Cup.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Total Information AM, weekdays 5 to 9 on the voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Gashouse Gang, we are brought to you in part by Saliga Heating and Cooling alongside of Mike Claiborne. My name's Matt Pauley. The voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so as we continue on. If you have any comments, you can get in here by texting 314-436-7900 or leaving a comment on the video stream if you are watching us on video today. Claibs, I think we're very like-minded. It's April 25th. The record doesn't matter. The game's back doesn't matter. I'd like it to be better. In a perfect world, it would be better, but I'm not overly concerned about that. But I do think there are some things that you look at and you see, are there implications beyond what's going on right now? And I look specifically because the bullpen has been such a tough spot. You got 2 guys in Phil Maton and Kyle Leahy who have been used a ton. And we saw Maton was completely unavailable for a couple days, so they could get him basically 3 days off with the off day. It is a little concerning when this early on in the season, certain guys are being used that much, because that can have implications for later in the season when we do start worrying about things like the record and things like that.
No, you're right. And I think I'll go back to my original point about the fact that they've been in a lot of games. There's a couple of games and maybe they weren't, as close score-wise as they would like to be, obviously. But, when you're in the 7th, 8th inning and you're run up or run down, you feel like you want to put your best players in a position to win the game. And that means Maton and guys with experience. And Leahy's just been terrific because Leahy's shown the ability to be able to throw back-to-back days, multiple innings, and it hasn't affected him. Now, the other guys that are in question are either inexperienced when it comes to that, maybe not as effective as they would like to be, especially since spring training. And so that reduces your opportunities to win. And then when you do put them in and they don't produce, it's even more glaring on how short you are with regard to your bullpen. And let's also put some of this on the lack of opportunities that have been cashed in offensively too. I mean, the Cardinals have had a lot of situations where they've had to tie a run at the plate in the 9th inning and they couldn't push a run across. Or you go back to Wednesday, you score early and then don't score anymore for the rest of the day. And you had opportunities where you had the bases loaded a couple of times and you couldn't push one more run across the plate. So it's really, in my opinion, while we talk about the bullpen, it's really a team effort on why this team hasn't excelled to the level that you would like for them to be at this point in the year.
Ollie made a really interesting point the other day when he talked about how when position players are struggling, if you have an 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, well, you know what? You throw them in the next day.
Run them back out there the next day.
Yeah. We don't really start talking about the struggles of those guys until it really starts to add up. Whereas if a relief pitcher has one bad outing and it flips a game from a 1-run lead to a 1-run deficit, that's all we're talking about. There are players, though. There are all position players right now that are struggling. And Jordan Walker, who's being given, again, all the runway in the world, and that's part of this season. In many ways, he is starting to look like the guy they looked like last year. And now hopefully it's going to be fun watching him work his way out of it. But for it to be fun, he has to indeed work his way out of it.
Yeah. And he's a different looking player than what you and I saw in spring training. His stance is a little bit too open, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a hitting coach. Never have been a hitting coach at any level of my life. But I've watched enough to see what works for some and what doesn't work for some. And it just seems like there's a couple minor adjustments that could be made that maybe changes how he looks in the batter's box. Now, you can make all the suggestions you want, but the person who you're making a suggestion to has to buy into it. And it comes a point where you have a comfort level that you have compared to making an adjustment. And sometimes the adjustment makes you in an uncomfortable situation. So that's where you have to make that leap and say, okay, I'm going to do something I'm not used to doing. I'm not comfortable with it because, again, I'm not used to doing it. But this may be something that changes my pattern, my approach, and my success rate. And so it really comes down to minor things that can be done, I think, to fix his swing. Because he can't hit a pitch. You throw him a slider, you throw him something on the outside part of the plate, he's not going to hit it. He's going back to that feel me swing where I'm hoping I stick my bat out there and maybe I make contact compared to looking down and trying to mash. And we're not seeing that now. We saw it early in the year, but we're not seeing it now.
I know sometimes people roll their eyes when I mention underlying numbers, but the bat speed's really good.
Let me do this. Let me get my eyes ready. Ready? Go ahead and say it.
Yeah. Underlying numbers, hard hit rate, bat speed, things like that. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you.
Okay. I got that out of the way. All right. Here we go.
But what that tells you is he has all the pieces to put to, if you can get the other stuff worked out, he already has the hard stuff figured out where he can be a high-level player. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
No, I think you're spot on. This is not like a situation where it's hopeless, and you say, "Well, there's just too many things to fix here." He just doesn't have enough of this. He's short on that, and he needs to be doing that. That's not the case here. I mean, there are small ingredients that are needed to have him become a more successful player.
The other guy who is now really being given that opportunity, and it took a little while for him to get there, but it's Nolan Gorman. And Oliver's spoken very openly about the fact that this is the chance for them to every day take a look at him and give him the chance to be in the lineup every single day. That's you got to figure out if he can reach his potential of being a 30 home run kind of guy, close to 800 OPS kind of guy. And now we're starting to see him in there every day. And hopefully here in a few weeks, a month or so, those numbers look pretty good.
Yeah, I think, Matt, not to put the pressure or the spotlight on one player in the organization, but I do think that Nolan Gorman is the reason why the reset button has been pushed with the organization to see who can play and who can't. And we've seen flashes of what we thought Nolan Gorman was going to be when he was drafted. You need more than a flash, though. You need more of a spotlight. And for every time we think, oh, man, he could be a 30, 35 home run guy with that sort of power. And then the flip side of that is, oh, man, this guy can strike out 190 times if we play him every day. So you got those two sides of the coin that you have to figure out which side is it going to land on that's going to be who this person is. And we're still feeling our way through that. Obviously with some injuries or some other things, he's having a chance to play a little bit more. And obviously when you look back, the plan was to move Nolan Arenado to give him this chance to play. Well, that didn't happen. So you're trying to find spots to put him in. And I think if you want to be fair to him, he's got to play every day. He can't play every third day. He can't play in this. He's got to have a spot when he shows up to the ballpark. You're going to get 4 at-bats, and you're going to get 4 at-bats at some position on the field, whether it's the DH or maybe second base, and on occasion maybe some third base. You got to play him on a regular basis to know what you have. And you know what? You can do that between now and Flag Day, because by Flag Day, I'm of the belief if you play him every day, you know who he is. And then if you like it, then you ride with it. If you don't, you say, all right, we better start looking around for somebody else who can fill this role.
There's such a visceral reaction from the fans to Nolan Gorman. And I know part of it is that 5-week stretch last year. It was terrible. That was as bad of a stretch as we have seen from a Cardinal. It was, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. It was really, really bad. So I think people think that that's who this guy is, and they value those 5 weeks over the close to 1,100 at-bats he has had over his major league career, and has a career 736 OPS and has hit 61 home runs. It's odd to me that so many people look at that 5-week stretch and put so much more into that than what is a legitimate number of plate appearances over 4 years in the big leagues.
You know, I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Remember when Brandon Moss was with the Cardinals, and Mike Matheny was trying to play him as much as he could, and he was really hot for a minute, and everybody says, "Oh, we have something here," and man, he a cold bucket of water hit him, and he just went downhill so fast. It was like avalanche-like, okay, and he never recovered. I don't know if that's the same thing for Nolan Gorman, but it reminded me of last year when I thought about Brandon Moss, and I was like, yeah, I've seen this somewhere before. And it was Brandon Moss when we think about Nolan Gorman of last year. Now, we haven't seen that this year, and we hope we never see it with him. But it's possible because we've already seen it. I think he's a better player now than he was last year. And I just hope that he can get enough legitimate at-bats and make the adjustments along the way. And I think one of the reasons why he stands out in this situation is the strikeout. You know, the strikeout is lethal, man. I mean, it's the one thing that every fan can say, oh, my goodness, here he goes again. And it's like I always use the Little League analogy where I don't know if when you were playing Little League baseball and there was a player on the team and there were 2 outs in the inning and you saw him go to the plate, you said, well, let me get my glove. I got to go. I'm getting ready to go back out to the field because you felt like there was no hope. We're not at that level with Nolan Gorman. But I think when you think about the strikeouts in critical situations, it just makes you think, oh, man, this is not going to end well. Now, fortunately, this week, he had a couple of at-bats that really came through in the clutch, and that's what you want to see more of. And I think he's more capable of that. The strikeouts, that is what it is. You want to minimize them. If nothing else, you want to put the ball in play. And I think that's the other issue. I don't expect Nolan Gorman or anybody to be successful where they have a hit every time they come up. But a fly ball here or a ground ball to move a runner along, little things to keep an inning alive is what you hope for.
That's Mike Claiborne. I'm Matt Pauley. Up next, we're joined by the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney. It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Once you do it, you'll ask yourself, why did we wait so long? I'm talking about making your outdoor space the place that you've always dreamed of, whether you'd like it to be party central or your personal place of rest and relaxation, or a combination of the two. Chesterfield Fence and Deck can make that magic happen for you. So just give them a call or stop by their beautiful showroom and warehouse in the Chesterfield Valley or online right now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the sign you have the very best, because other places may offer you a rock bottom price, but you have to consider what kind of a value you're getting when that deck or fence starts splintering, cracking, the nails popping out just one season later. Chesterfield Fence and Deck guarantees their work. They have their own crews with years of experience installing these outdoor projects, and they stand behind everything they do. So it is a true value because it lasts for years to come and it'll look gorgeous. Mention me, Debbie Monterey, and get 20% off your next outdoor project, chesterfieldfence.com.
This afternoon, we've got a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny, high of 80 degrees. Tonight, there continues to be a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Let's just keep those away and play some baseball. We'll see a low of 54 tomorrow, partly sunny, high at 68.
Weather sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Hey, it's the Cardinal Cowboy. The beginning of a new season is a perfect time for a tune-up from my friends at Renner Garage Door. Need a new door? Get a free replacement quote today. RennerDoorSTL.com. Forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER. Tired of battling pests? At Rottler Pest Solutions, we offer year-round protection from termites, mosquitoes, moles, and more. With flexible scheduling and 24/7 support, we're always here when you need us. Visit Rottler.com today to schedule your free inspection.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX, sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
Gorman leads away from second base, the 2-1 pitch, and that is stroked into center field. It is going to get down. It gets past the diving Harris all the way to the wall. Gorman scores into second with an RBI double. Nolan Arenado, and the Cardinals are on the board.
Cardinals are back home tonight. They take on the Milwaukee Brewers. We've got the broadcast right here on KMOX across the Cardinals radio network. And, of course, you will hear the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney. But before you hear the broadcast tonight, a conversation alongside of Mike Claiborne. I'm Matt Pauley, and the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, does join us right now. John, welcome back to St. Louis for a very quick return, just 3 games in, and then the team heads right back out.
Yes, just enough time to pack, do the laundry, and repack, and then head out to Cincinnati for 4. Good to be with you, Matt. Claves, thumbs up?
Well, halfway.
Okay.
Halfway. It's a work in progress. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. How you doing?
Yeah, but I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Heard a lot of the broadcasts, and man, we were involved in a lot of close games on this road trip, and that's something that I don't want to lose focus on. It'd be different if they were getting clobbered every night. But, John, and you saw it for yourself, one pitch here, one hit there, and all of a sudden we're talking about a whole different situation with this team.
No, you are. And right now it's that razor thin edge that if the Cardinals happen to be on the right side of that, then I think they'll be able to keep up this type of energy. But they have to have some positive things happen. And to get to Ryan Helsley the other night, he needed the work. It was beautiful to see him in there after the Cardinals put up 10 runs. And I still like the offensive approach. It's a shame they couldn't have added on. I really believe in games like the one on Wednesday, usually if a team gets a lead early and adds on a run or two, then it's pretty much over.
John, it's obviously they did not win as many games as they would have liked on this road trip. You talk with Ali every day, and sometimes fans don't get a full glimpse of how he's feeling as he goes through a period where the team isn't winning as many games as they would like. He would like. How would you assess the way that he deals with this and how he keeps his attitude up?
He's very, very positive, and he works at it to make sure he's very, very positive because he loves the way his coaching staff is going about game preparation. And just look at the outfield play, how much better it is. how much better Jordan Walker looks in right field, and the improvement that Victor Scott II has made, and Lars Nootbaar playing a good left field. And that's because of a lot of work by John Jay and some others. The infield play has looked really good. Nolan Gorman looks steady when he plays second base or third. And Nolan Arenado looks like he wants that platinum glove back right along with the gold glove, and he wants to be an all-star. I just like the positive work they're doing, but they need to get over the top and win some games. And there will be some growing pains while developing some young players, guys, and that's what we're going through right now.
You know, John, you touch on the coaches, and you get to the ballpark early like I do, and their job starts well before anybody thinks about getting to the ballpark. And the work they put in to get players ready for one at bat or one batter is something that it would take the whole day for us to talk about, because they put more work in than people could ever imagine. And sometimes it can be a thankless job until you see the rewards that we're seeing, as you mentioned, with Jordan Walker, who at one point when there was a fly ball hit to him, we would all take a deep breath and hold on. Now you feel like he's a capable player. And there's a lot of other guys in different situations that we're seeing that continue to improve, because I think that this group of coaches are very good teachers of the game. And you look at their experience level when you start with a Pop Warner, you look at a John Jay and Daniel Descalzo, Stubby Clapp. All these guys have had success somewhere else. And now they're able to apply it to these young players, and the players are buying into it. And eventually we're going to see better success.
Well, that's the key, Claves, players buying into it. And they are. They are very much engaged. And Ollie spent so much time the other day when we were talking with him, just expressing how delighted he was by his coaching staff's work and how they're doing an exceptional job. And they really love what they're doing. They like this group of players. They like this team a lot. And the thing about a young team, and it's the youngest in baseball, youth will delight you and it will crush you because of the growing pains. And there's not much in between. But when they click, this is a fun team to watch because they run the bases well. They play good defense, but it's making a pitch here or a pitch there. That's the difference in a good road trip from a road trip where the Cardinals just won one game out of the first two trips. They won one each place, each trip.
John, I think it's rather remarkable because we've seen the bullpen not perform at the level we'd like it to see. Maybe we've lost focus on what we're seeing from this starting pitching, and the starting pitching continues to be just on an absolute roll. How impressed have you been with what you've seen from all five or sometimes six guys, depending on if they're in a 5 or 6 man rotation?
Well, starting pitching's been really good, and I think that can be as contagious as good hitting. And we can't lose track of positives, even though the results aren't what we'd want. But starting pitching is really, really good. Fetty has been better. He's been really growing in his role with the Cardinals. I know they used him a lot last year in Chicago, and he was exceptional, and that's why the Cardinals wanted him. I think we're seeing that right now from him as he's really getting into his groove. And Miles Michaelis pitched a great game on Wednesday, but he only got one run of support. That's typical Miles Michaelis. When he has a terrific game, he just doesn't get much offense behind him. And I really like what I see out of Matthew Liberatore. Libby doesn't have a winning record right now, but he's giving his team a chance to win. And he has a presence on the mound right now that shows me he's going to be a very credible big league starting pitcher. We know he's a good reliever and very high leverage situations. Perhaps he could be a closer, but he wants to be a starting pitcher. And so far the results are good for him.
You know, I think when you look at him and his growth as a pitcher, and Matthew Liberatore, John, we saw him when he was first traded here, and you look at him and you think, well, he looks the part physically, but man, he has really matured from a mental aspect from this point where at one point he was a pitcher that says, man, I hope you don't hit this. Now he says, I dare you to hit it. I mean, his mound presence to me is the one thing that stands out as far as his growth from a maturity standpoint comes. He just looks like he says that I'm supposed to be here, and you want to do something about it, try and hit this. And he's been pretty successful with it so far.
That he has been, and I think you see it the way the team responds to him. And I know guys driving to the park today feel like, hey, Libby's on the mound tonight over the sunny gray. You know, we got a great shot to win this. So we're going to go out there and give it our best. And that's something this team has done every day since we started following them in spring training. The regulars in the lineup, getting their work in, putting their time in, doing their drills, taking extra BP, taking extra fielding practice, whatever it happens to be. That's carried over into the regular season. And I like the offensive approach where they don't really care if they're ahead or behind. Each at bat is its own at bat, and they want to give a quality performance every time they do that. So they're really fun to watch in that regard. But with Libby, they feel pretty good about him when he's on the mound, and he feels pretty good about himself. That's the key.
John, I know it's early. I know it's the answer to this question is probably it's just baseball and it's all going to kind of even out. But anything to do you have any thoughts on why the team has struggled so much on the road versus the amount of success that they've had at home so far?
As I said, it's a razor-thin edge, and the last at-bat in something like 5, 6, 7 games has made the difference in a Cardinal win or the end result, a Cardinal loss. And having that last at-bat has meant everything. And look at it at home, an 8-4 record at home, where they've had a chance to score in the 7th or 8th in their last at-bat or take it into the 9th. But it's a very thin edge between winning and losing when you're developing a lot of young players, and it's a matter of learning how to win, and I think this team will get there at some point. I think there's enough talent that if they keep developing the way they are, what we've seen in the early returns here in April, that this club is going to get better because they want to. There's a lot of desire on this team. That's what I like about it.
He is the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney. John, thanks so much for taking some time. We will see you at the ballpark later on today, and all of our listeners will hear you as we get the Cardinals going against the Brewers this weekend.
So you have the pregame tonight, Matt?
I do.
Excellent. So we'll hear from you about 6:20 tonight for the pregame.
That is when we get rolling.
And Claves, we'll hear your interview with Oliver Marmol, and we'll be inside the park tonight. Look forward to it.
Then we have the post-game show this evening as well, where Ricky Horton will be across the street at the Bullock at the Live by Lowe's Hotel. And Mark Sweeney, former Cardinal, now Cardinal analyst, is going to join us this evening. So
that's going to be a great show.
We're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Want to tune in or join you over at Lowe's.
Come on over. No rain in the forecast after we start this program. Trust me.
That's right. That's right. Get out of there. Get that weather going and take it someplace else. But let's have a big weekend. I mean, it's a big series against Milwaukee, and it seems like we should have been playing the Brewers before now. But we don't see the Cubs till what 28 or 29. Those seasons. That's what it seems like.
The schedule. I don't know what to say about the schedule. It hasn't already been said, but there needs to be a conversation on the mindset of what schedules for teams should look like in rivalries and teams that are in general proximity. You have to get those games going a little earlier than what we're looking at now.
Well, get them going earlier and then play them late in September.
Yes,
against
when they mean
that
something. Absolutely.
When they really mean something, when you're going down the stretch. I'd like to see that too, but that's above our pay grade right now, Clabe, so I'll see you at the ballpark in a while.
I will. All right, looking forward to it.
That's the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney. We appreciate his time as always. How would you like to check out some Cardinals baseball? We've got some tickets to give away right now. You can go see them coming up on Sunday's game against the Brewers. We are giving away a 4-pack of tickets, and this is a great opportunity to get out to the ballpark. There's a good giveaway that day with the umbrella that's going to be given away. So if you want to win 4 tickets to see the Cardinals play coming up on Sunday, you can be, let's say, caller number 10 on our contest line at 314-955-1120, 314-955-1120. Caller number 10, you're getting hooked up with 4 tickets to see the Cardinals and the Brewers Sunday afternoon at Busch Stadium. All right, we are going to get into the Blues because they were spectacular last night against the Winnipeg Jets. That conversation on the way next here on the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're from Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Get ready to take a trip down memory lane. Herman's Hermits, starring Peter Noon and The Lovin' Spoonful, are coming to Family Arena on October 25th. And we have your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the show.
Something tells me I'm into something good.
Register now at KMOX.com/contest for your chance to win. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, huh?
My brother got life insurance from Ethos and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
This month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight is testicular cancer. Dr. Woodson Smelser.
Yeah, so the first step is to talk to your doctor, and generally they would order imaging of the testicle and look for actual tumor, and oftentimes they will do an examination or send you to a urologist to have an examination. And I find that the place where a lot of times men have some hesitance or trepidation, obviously, because it seems like it may be an invasive exam, but that's an exam that could save your life.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
You never got a sense of how big the community was until we all pour into this auditorium. 4,000 or 5,000 people, and we're all here for the same reason. Real estate investing, living the lifestyle.
That's April on her Expo experience. It's coming again. Join Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited for Expo 2025, May 7th through the 10th in Irving, Texas. Get hands-on training from successful real estate investors and learn proven strategies that work. Find out more and save $100 when you text EXPO to 88007, EXPO to 88007.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Alongside of Mike Claiborne, I'm Matt Pauley. What a night it was for the Blues last night. They beat the Jets 7-2. Hat trick for Pavel Buchnevich. Cam Fowler sets the Blues franchise record for points by a defenseman in a playoff game. He scores a goal. Jordan Kyrou, Alexei Toropchenko, Colton Parayko scoring. Robert Thomas, 3 assists. Claibs, I don't know what's going to happen in this series, but man, oh man, was last night a lot of fun for the Blues.
Oh, it was terrific. And when you look at last night, man, that's as good as you can be. And now the good news is the Blues are really good last night. The not so good news is it's very hard to beat a team in that second time around. Winnipeg was the best team in hockey when it came to a record this year. And I'm sure they didn't have many bad nights consecutively during the course of the season. And I don't expect them to have another bad night. They're going to show up. They were embarrassed last night. And, you know, this is a team that doesn't have a lot of postseason experience. But I don't care whether it's October or April. You don't have 2 nights like that in a row, especially a good hockey club like the Winnipeg Jets. So the Blues are going to have to even be better when they play the Winnipeg Jets again, because I know the Jets are going to be better than what we saw last night.
Yeah, that was
the
only
what's
thing
interesting
I did.
though, Matt. You mentioned Cam Fowler, and when you look back in the history of the St. Louis Blues, and you think about the Prongers and the McKinnises and some of the other great defensemen that they've had, Cam Fowler with 5 assists. That if you were to put names in a hat and I pull his name out, I'd say there's no chance. Or he'd be the last person I would think that would have that sort of record or have that sort of night. And when you look at the season, you know, Doug Armstrong, if this season continues in the manner that it is now, the acquisition of Cam Fowler is something you can't overlook. That guy has done everything you could hope for in a player in a very quiet manner. And maybe one of the best moves Doug Armstrong has made in quite some time in getting Cam Fowler, because I don't even remember what they got him for.
Nothing, if I remember correctly, or a draft pick or a minor league guy.
Future
like,
consideration, something along that line, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so there's this thing about fit, and he walked in and he fit. Even Jimmy Snuggerud, he's going to turn into a really, really good player at some point. But right now, he's a guy who's played college hockey 3 weeks ago, and he walks in and he just looks like he fits, and he's just kind of part of the machine. And that's been what's fun, because you've been able to put pieces in and they fit and they're able to have their moments.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. Nobody is like glaringly good, but they just fit. And that's what you have to have as a team when it comes to postseason play. One guy cannot carry you. They're all coming together, and it's fun to watch. And I don't know how long this postseason is going to go, but I know any Blues fans got to look forward to what next year looks like, what next year's off season is going to look like. Who do you bring in? Who do you try and move? Watching these young players grow and the guys that we saw coming out of training camp and the draft choices. This is going to be a fun hockey team to watch for a number of years.
It really is. And it's I just hope they can maybe, if they get to a game 7, you never know. A young group continuing to come together, you never know. So let's see how far they can push this. Claibs, appreciate the time. This was fun to do the show together today. We'll see you at the ballpark later on.
You know what? You and I are going to get to know each other really well over the next 24 hours.
We are, and that's okay. That's for sure. That's Mike Claiborne. I'm Matt Pauley. Dave Glover's show is on the way next, and I'll be back with you tonight after 6 o'clock for Cardinals pregame, which, of course, Mike Claiborne is part of, and then it's the Cardinals and the Brewers from Busch Stadium tonight. Don't worry about that rain in the forecast. It's not going to impact things. We'll play baseball tonight.
That's a 4-letter word, man. You can't use that word on the radio.
Okay, hit the dump button. Pretend I didn't say it. Dave Glover show on the way next here on KMOX.
Ernie Mickles here for my friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a St. Louis institution that has been serving St. Louis